Have a seat on the floor, cross your shins, feet underneath the knees, flex the feet. Press your feet into the floor, not by pressing your knees down, but by actively trying to press the feet down. This will activate the thighs. Place your hands on your thighs. Press your hands down, lift your chest up. Take a nice deep inhale, keep that lifted spine, drop the shoulders down. Drop does not mean push, so don't flex or force. Just let the weight of the outer body, shoulder, skin, hang on the skeleton. Press your hands down again, lift the spine, take another deep breath, feel your back muscle, draw the back muscle towards its opposite side, so the back ribs squeeze towards each other. Side ribs stretch forward, front rib lifts up. Completely exhale, holding that shape, that domed, cavernous shape. Let the eyes close with your chin slightly lifted. Take a nice deep breath in, slow breath out. And as I've said before, the body is a living record of everything we go through. All the happy, sad, shame, fear, guilt, and all the ways we modify those things. And they happen to, with, and through us. And each thing has a story, either big or small. Remember, that story can be one that you don't like, one that you love. And you don't even have to remember every part of it, each and every story, each and everything you've gone through, but recognize that in some way, each and every story gets told. Each and every story that you have shows up in your life and in your world in some way. You may never even speak another word of it to a friend, something you go through, but it's going to show up in your life and the advice you give and how you choose to act or react to things in the world. If you ever feel like you're not sure what you're going through is going to matter or is going to be of benefit, remember that each thing you go through creates another thread and layer, a little bit deeper work that makes you. So even if you're on the mat once a week, less, more, it all matters. Yoga gives us a chance to let those stories show up, to be clear on them, to let those things we go through become not more real, but we're at least more clear on how real they are to us, whether it's an injury or a happy story, things like that. In that way, yoga crosses some interesting things. It draws us back to past moments, even though so many of us come to yoga looking towards the future, to be free of pain, to be happier. But it is the duality of yoga that to move forward, we have to examine what we already are, what we've gone through, so that how we move forward is a way that we can feel good about with each step, for each moment. We can continue to see the benefit and growth to ourselves and ultimately to the world around us. Bring the palms together at the chest, thumbs touching the sternum. Palms shortly 3 times and begin. Take a nice deep breath in. Om. Flex your feet. Om. ribs in, side rib forward, front rib up. Oh. Bow your head. It's with the essence of yoga inside yourself. Bring your hands into your lap. Let your head rise and your eyes open. Oh, some more people snuck in. So nice to see everybody. Hope everyone's had a good weekend. A cloudy day so far here in Austin. So we're going to continue our seated work, continue our work into the upper back and the leg, but let's warm up the body, because remember, you want to create some warmth in the body before you start stretching a lot of this tighter muscular stuff. So stand on up. Standing poses warm the body. Seated poses can be a little cooling. And overstretching a cold muscle can lead to a lot of stiffness and immobility. And often, as I've said in past classes, that warmth is another sign of stimulating the body so you feel it better. Thighs together, feet together, heels touching. Calves, thighs, all that squeezing together. So Tadasana. Stretch both arms up, palms squeezing tight together. As you stretch up through the side body, lifting taller, push down through the feet. And feel from the feet pressing into the floor, even though a part of your foot like the arch may not be touching the floor, can you still be aware of it? Can you still feel how the action of the pose stimulates it to some degree? Maybe not the same as the stretch of your shoulders or your back, but it's still there. Then go up, trace up through the calves. Are they active? Can you feel the whole circumference of your calf, shin, leg? And then through your thighs, your hips, abdomen, chest, back, arms, all the way up. So can you draw your attention into the initial stretch, the parts that are the most stimulated, maybe where fabric's touching the skin, or there's a pressure, or there's some work, but then take that and stretch it to the areas maybe not. And just become aware of how much you're working your jaw, your inner ears, your eyes, like that. One of the things that I think helped me as a student in class is I stopped doing anything the teacher didn't ask me to do. And this isn't to say I was being a bad student, but I was just stressing myself out, trying to overly focus and move more stuff. Because that's my habit. Press the palms tight together, stretch the arms straight, squeeze the elbows towards the head, move the arms back slightly, keeping your chin neutral, if not lifted slightly, stretch the head forward. Stretch the head forward. No. Yeah, forward. So as you stretch your head forward with your arms stretching up and back to lengthen that neck, not pulling the chin down, right? Your head's not coming down, but your chin's up. Out. Activate the upper back. Remember, part of what we carry on in the body is the habits we developed because we went through the things we've gone through, right? You have a bad fall, you hold your arm a certain way. You get hurt in the back, kind of tend to lean one way or the other. You sit crooked in your car seat, you're going to sit crooked somewhere else. Those are the habits we've created to protect ourselves in a response to how we've lived. Remember what I said, we want to move forward from the pain and suffering and the things that we want to get rid of with yoga. You have to kind of almost relive the past. You have to go back and feel how your hips are tilted. You have to feel how your shoulders and back are adjusted. You have to notice it. It's hard to stretch your head forward while picking your arms up. My teacher would say, hopefully that provokes a sense of curiosity as to why this is, so that as you go through this, you're going to recognize what you do in your present day that also creates these things that you want to be free from. That's a different definition or idea of awareness. Awareness is just not the stretch. Awareness is the practice that goes on way past your yoga. Good. Pick up your right knee in front of you, knee the height of your hip. Use balance, props for balance as you need so you don't fall. Don't have to beat yourself up about it. Take a nice deep breath in. Take your right foot back behind you. Thighs together, knees together. Pull your right heel up towards your buttock as close as you can get. So those hamstrings have to fire. Nice. Then in each pose is a chance to feel what's going on. That's why Mr. Iyengar would have you hold these poses. One, can you activate into the pose so then you can clearly see all these different things that's going on in your body, all the challenges and all of the potentials. You can often feel like when you're doing yoga pose that it's just here to show you you can't. It's not necessarily true. Your success in getting into the pose at any level shows you that you can. Take your right knee out in front of you. Take your right ankle across your left thigh and stretch your right knee back and down as best you can. So modified Vrksasana or tree pose. So use your focus, engage into the pose, left leg strong, push the left thigh into the right ankle a little bit, push the right ankle into the thigh like we've talked about in past classes. Push the roots, connect the roots of the pose so your left foot presses down harder. Stretch up through the arms, squeeze the elbows in. Take a nice deep breath. And then you kind of see, you stretch your awareness across the body. What's the challenge in the knee? What's the challenge in the hip, your balance, your back? And then where are you succeeding? My thigh's opening, awesome. I'm still standing, great. I haven't wanted to turn off my internet yet because Dustin talks too much. Congratulations, your patience is growing leaps and bounds. Bring the arms down, bring the leg down. Feet together, Tadasana. Take a nice deep breath. Stretch both arms up as you exhale. Palms tight together. Straighten the elbows, move the head forward. Whole head from the neck stretches out. Pick your left knee up in front of you, knee the height of your hip. Remember, it's easy to get overly locked up in the parts that are the hardest. Know that you got them. Even if you fall out, you always get back in. But take a moment and stretch your awareness across the parts that aren't the loudest. Feel the stories of what's going on and what is going on, what has gone on in your body so that you can move forward with something different. Take your left foot back behind you, thighs together, knees together. Breathe. Somewhere in there, you got to breathe. Take your left leg out in front, cross your left ankle over your right thigh, stretching the thigh open. Reconnect to the roots of the pose. Push down through the right foot, push the thigh into the ankle, ankle into the thigh, and lift up. Again. Bring the legs down, arms down. Cool. If you need a chair or a block for forward folds because your hamstrings are tight, I would grab one now. A couple seconds there. Place the item in front of you, the prop you're going to use. Pick up your right foot, cross your right ankle over the left thigh. Fold forward, taking your hands towards the chair, block, or floor, keeping your right ankle across your left thigh. Press your right ankle into the left thigh, press your left thigh into the ankle. As you're here stretching, become aware of the angle of your right knee in relationship to your right hip. For most of us, the right knee will be to the outside of the right hip, unless you're Chaya who's doing the opposite leg, which is okay. You got to do them both anyway, dear. But be aware that when your right knee is to the outside of the hip, you're doing a different set of muscles than just down straight from the hip. Do not change it, just be aware that a little bit of different action. This matters for our seated poses for the muscles that we're going to stretch and get into. So I want you to work your left leg, pushing your hips back, stretching the bottom of the buttock up so you're stretching the hamstring. And then imagine there was something to push the sole of your left or your right foot into and push your right foot to the left a little more under its own strength. So flex the right quad, flex the right hamstring, and push it across a little with your hands still down, with your chest still down. It's a muscle flexion. This is about creating that kind of muscle flexion so you start learning to move those inner thighs, move those hip joints. So push your right foot across, and that's going to stretch your hip a little differently. Not sure. No, she says. Now, instead of pushing your right foot to the left, flex your right thigh and try and drag your right knee to the right more so you feel the right knee hip open out to the side more. Like it's trying to drag the flesh of your left thigh towards the knee. So it's an internal action, external action. Internal would be you pressing towards the foot. External would be your pressure going towards the thigh. Each one stretches the hip leg a little differently, and thus your back. That's why those different seated pose leg positions are very important, because they do change the back stability quite a bit as you get to feel now. Bring the body up. Switch your legs. Don't worry, you get to sit down soon. We're not going to do as many standing poses. Pick up your left ankle, put it across your right thigh. And then fold forward, take your hands to the block. Hands to block, floor, chair, whatever you're using for your balance. It's hard. One side's always harder than the other. So, all right. So now in the pose, imagine there was something to push your left foot into and push your left foot across so it stretches. Don't slide it, like push it across the leg so it has to pull the flesh of your right thigh. And you got to flex your right thigh a little bit and push it into the foot to help keep your balance. Legs are stretched nice and long, or at least your right leg is. Now, instead of pushing your left foot across to the right side, stretch your left knee to the left more. So it's like you're pulling the flesh of your right thigh to the left with your calf, so the knee moves to the outside a little bit, kind of like a cricket sliding their legs across each other. Take a nice deep breath in, slide the leg down, stand on up. Good. Have a seat. I would, if you, just have a seat straight on the floor. Unless you have low back pain right now, have a seat just on the floor. Dandasana, please. Both legs straight out in front of you. Turn the camera here down. So Dandasana, both legs straight, thighs together, calf together, heel together. Push down through the foot, push down through the stuff that is connected to the floor already. Your heels probably press into the floor more than your knees, so push your heels down already. Your calf probably connects more than your knees, so push it down more. Push your hips down. Use your fingertips onto the floor next to your hips. with your fingers pointing towards your feet, and lift up through your spine. Feel the muscles it takes to work. So you're not trying to retract your hip thighs back into your pelvis. You're trying to stretch the legs down and push down through the feet, almost to the degree you feel like you're falling back. Because when you feel like you're pushing your feet and your legs into the floor so hard, your upper body feels like it's moving back. Your upper torso is moving back. You actually have to flex your back muscles to keep you sitting upright. That's what upright seated posture is. The legs extend down, your chest moves, your back muscles move against it. Stretch both arms straight up, interlace your fingers, turn your palms up to the ceiling. Push your feet down so it feels like your upper torso is going to fall back. And then as you do that, push your back into it to lift your torso up. And here we begin. We're going to be here a while. Feel the challenges. Notice how your chin and head want to come down to do this. Pick your chin up. Move your head forward a little bit. Tighter you are in your upper back, the harder this is. A lot of this is very good work to restructure the upper back, release the nerves down through the arms. Change the lacing of your fingers so the opposite set of fingers are in charge. So if the right are on top of the left, you have to change that so the left are on top of the right. Palms up you go. Try not to lose your legs the whole time. Keep your body in it. And it's more important than pushing the palms up to squeeze the elbows towards the head so your lateral back muscles have to do greater work. Just pushing up will tend to encourage your shoulder and neck to do it. Squeeze the elbows in so you have to go through the lateral side body. And again, push your legs harder as you can into the floor from the heel calf so it feels like you're going to fall back, but then lift from your back body up. Take a nice deep breath, bring the arms down. Not bad. Cross your shins, similar to what we did when we first started class. Put your right shin in front of your left, if you would. Interlace your fingers, turn your palms up, arms up to the ceiling. You might think, well, what does this have to do with us getting to Padmasana or all that stuff? If you slouch in that stuff, you never get it. Learning to flex the upper back to hold your torso up and then use your legs properly to engage your lower abdominis is what helps move the abdominals, the groin, and the back, and reshapes it, makes sitting much more comfortable for us. And I know we all do a lot of that these days. Push your feet down into the floor so it feels like your upper torso is being pushed back. And then from your upper back, right between the shoulder blades, push up. Head stretches forward. Change the lacing on your fingers so it's the opposite set of fingers. And the palms back up. Squeeze the elbows towards the head. Not the shoulders to your neck, but the elbows towards the head. So it makes the triceps work harder, makes your lateral back work harder. Push your feet into the floor hard so it feels like you're going to fall back. You lift up from that. Get those hip extenders going. Pay no attention to the pets that have invaded your yoga space at this point. Take a breath, bring your arms down. Good. Bring the soles of the feet together in the knees wide, Baddha Konasana. Pull your heels close to the groin. Place your hands onto the floor next to your hips. Push your hips towards your heels. Push your feet hard together and with your hands on the floor still for a moment, push your feet down. Really get your legs in it. And I don't mean push your knees down to the floor. Push your feet harder together. Push your feet harder into the floor by the strength of your legs. Your knees may go down a little bit, but if you only push from the knee joint, or if you push hard into the floor to lift your hips, so your knees go down, all you're doing is teaching your upper shoulder and neck to do the lift work. You need to make your legs do it. So push your feet in, push your feet down. chest up, push your feet down hard enough that you feel like you're going to fall back. So you have to activate your upper back muscles. Let's see if you did it. Interlace your fingers and take both arms straight up. Very hard. So as you keep those arms interlaced and stretch up, push the feet together, push the feet down. Notice how much your head, shoulders, and neck want to sink. And the upper back almost feels like you can't uncurl. So you got to work your legs, and you just got to do this a ton. Pick your chin up first. Even though the head moves forward, does not mean it goes forward and down. Notice that it feels like the more your arms go up, the more your knees go up. That's the tightness of the upper back. This is how much our upper back affects our seated poses and hips. Many times it's harder to get into poses like Lotus Padmasana and all the others if our upper back is not structured correctly, because if our upper back is collapsed onto our mid and lower, they are tight too. Change the lacing of the fingers so it's the opposite set of fingers. Turn the palms back up. Work your feet. Push down through the feet so hard you're going to fall back, and then go right there between the shoulder blades and forward and up. I was doing this all this morning, so trust me, I feel your pain. My hips have been popping all day. My back feels great. Feet in, feet down, upper back. Nice. Take a breath. Exhale, come on out. Did we switch shins? No. Cross your left shin in front of your right shin. We didn't do this a moment ago, so we'll catch it up now. With your left shin in front of your right shin, push both feet down into the floor. Interlace your fingers, both arms up. We do a lot of standing poses. I think it's common in a lot of yoga to do a lot of standing poses for the extension of the spine, but the extension of the spine, I think, is easier to reach into the upper, especially the upper back, from seated. Because as you've started to feel, working your legs and your arms in a certain way has made you access that point and get to it. When you're say trying to do triangle or a forward fold to feel it, there's a tendency to manipulate the lower back, the hip, the knee. Sitting on the floor like this, working your body in this way has really kept you from creatively adjusting the pose. Gives you a clearer picture of what's going on in your upper back, your laterals and such. Or how passive your upper back work may have been, like mine has been for a long time. Laying just over blocks, laying in backward bends. This is not so passive. It's simple, but it is not passive. Change the lacing of your fingers, turn your palms back up. Best you can. Push your feet into the floor. Activate your legs to shift and change so your chest falls back, but then your upper back pushes it forward hard. Take a nice deep breath. Luckily, none of you have high-def cameras, so I can't see the glare that you're all giving me. Most of you are pretty fuzzy, so I can imagine you're smiling, which is nice. She is very high-def, so I know the glare than the growl I'm getting from this. Bring the arms down. Stretch both legs wide into a straddle, please, to Vista. Push the heel down, push the calf down, push the hips down. Use your fingertips behind you for a moment to lift your spine up, just to kind of give you a little initial lift. Push your heels down to push your upper torso back, but use your arms to push forward. Feel that flexion of the upper back muscle. And I want you to push up here, right above the chest, in the upper part of the chest bone, just below the collarbones, forward and up. And then take both arms up, palms tight together. Straight elbows. Move the head forward. Push your heels to push your upper torso back so your hips work. And then work right there between your upper shoulder blades. If in yoga class, this is the part of class where I would wander around and put my knee in some of your backs, hold your forearms and push my knee in. Get that, see, that's the thing you look forward to, I guess, when all this is over. And I never thought I'd say, oh, I just can't wait to get back into a yoga studio so a yoga teacher puts their knee in my spine. You never know if you miss it till it's really gone, right? Take a nice breath. Rotate from the navel to your left. Push your right heel down. Twist as much as you can. And notice how much your shoulders and arms have come down to do this. Pick your shoulders and arms up. Lift your torso up. Twist the core. Pull your left ribs back. Pull your back right ribs forward. And just rotate any degree that you can. Just starting to challenge that while still lifting the arms. Palms tight together. Micah, thank you. Notice how your head has turned more than your belly. So reset your head to your neck to your chest bone, and only turn the head as much as your core turns your pose. And then experiment with your legs a little bit. What if you push more through the right heel? So it's almost like your right hip's helping the rotation. But then relift your arms. Twist to the right. Twist from your navel. Twist from your middle body, and then twist from your upper back, right between those shoulder blades. And it's about this point, 35 minutes into the class, you're really getting tired of your arms, your back's probably getting tired, which is good. Don't turn your head more than you turn your torso. And if you're thinking, I'm just falling, I'm slouching, well, this is how you get out of it. You want really good upright posture? This is it. Untwist, bring your arms down. You okay? Bend your knees, cross your right ankle under your left thigh. Listen. Right ankle under left thigh. Take your left foot up on your right knee, if you can. If you cannot, you can leave your left foot on the floor just in front of your knee just to start moving those hips. So, Ardha Padmasana, half. Stuff we've worked on before. So, Shubha, get your ankle up on your opposite knee. Don't lay the foot in the cradle of your calf. Yeah, there you go. Different pose, dear. That was Swasasana. You're not here for peace pose. So now, from half, notice the difference with the hips like this. You're going to have to actually work your back a little different. So this is kind of interesting. When you get in your seated poses where we have an asymmetry of the legs, and this is what this pose is an asymmetry. It's not perfectly symmetrical. One hip is slightly higher than the other, which means your back muscles have shifted slightly and to hold your spine stable. This is how we kind of start to examine which sides need work and how actually your lower back and upper back affect your hips and vice versa. So push your right foot into the floor. Push your left foot into your right thigh. It's not pushing your left knee down. It may go down, but you're actively trying to create more pressure and connection to those 2 points already. Push through the hips. Stretch both arms up, palms tight together. So from here, this is where there's a pose in light on yoga. You see Mr. Iyengar in full lotus, and he's stretching his whole spine forward. He's extending from his lower sacral plate out. Not down, but up, and then his arms are up and back. I'll look it up here in a little bit to give you the name, but work the pose first. So push the feet down. Push your hips down, not from rounding your lower back, but from what you already feel connected to the ground. Can you press that more? And then move your sacral plate, the very bottom of your spine, back of your hips, forward towards your groin. And then can you go a little bit above that and move forward? And then you go up a little above that and move forward. And then up above that and move forward. So you're going up the stack of the spine, one vertebrae at a time. Move the head forward. Now move your arms up higher so you feel like they get to go back, but your whole spine, the center of your body, goes forward. Your whole outer body goes up and back.
That's the actual stretch. The very deep extension of the spine, forward and up, but your side body goes up and back. Works right deep down the length of your spine. It's one of the better seated poses I've found in that book. Arms up, come on now, don't quit. No, interlace the fingers, palms tight. No, don't hold your own hand, just palms tight. Give yourself the eternal high five. All right, bring your arms down. Switch your legs. How's that? Left foot under right thigh, right foot up on left knee. So when you're doing these asymmetrical poses like this, what you're getting, especially when you're seated, is you're taking what's called a preternatural tilt out of our pelvis. We all have a little bit of scoliotic curve one way or the other in our spine and in our hips. We all do it. Dominant side is usually the side I lean to. I lean on my right hip a lot. I think it's because I used to carry a wallet in my left pocket when I was younger. Stuff like that. We all have one side we tilt towards more than the other. Part of what our seated poses are with these asymmetry poses, and why we do them on each side, is to kind of give each side a little bit of work. We notice which side's more or less not there, or what sides are doing great. Press your foot into the knee, foot into the floor first. Press your hips into the floor. And then go to your lower, just on the back side of your pelvis. That's your sacral plate. It's what your spine connects to. Push it forward. You're not rounding your whole spine. You're not curling down, but you're pushing that forward from your back, like your buttocks are pushing your pelvis forward. And then up the length of your spine, stretch both arms up. Palms tight together. Outer body lifts the arms. Center body, back body especially, moves the spine forward and up. Head forward. Elbows straight. Work the pose and breathe. Notice the challenge that this is to even hold this for 60 seconds. It is intense. Even though we do lots of standing poses. I know what you all do. You come and get portrait in my class. Trust me. So I know. Head up there, Laura. Head forward, Micah. Push your upper chest out more, Micah, and less your bottom ribs. And now pick your arms up, brother. There you go. Straight elbows, Pratim. I know what you all go through. So why is this hard? Because this is an active form of seated poses that really challenges areas that I know that when we sit at computer desks or even in the nicest Herman Miller chairs or whatever, it compresses our upper back. We often take the flexion of the upper back. We flex this way all the time. We don't often flex the other way. And I think that is the idea of restorative yoga being very popular, right? Oh, I can lay over a bolster for a day or 10 minutes and correct it? No. However much effort and energy we put into one thing, we need to put equal to challenge it. So straighten your arms. Pick your spine up, move your spine forward so your chest bone broadens. Move the arms back any degree, the head forward. So as much energy as you put forcing yourself to sitting in front of your computer because you got to for your job or you have to teach the kids or whatever you're doing. I love it. We all have those duties. Now's the time to put equal energy into talking yourself into getting through this. And if you need my home address to, send things to me, hopefully it's cookies and not like paint bombs or toilet paper in my trees. Pratima can give you the address. Exhale, bring your arms down. You okay? She's okay. Switch your feet again. Same thing. What's that? Put your right foot on your left thigh. Take your left foot up on your right knee. Better Shubha. Very good. Good placement. You learned. Cut. All right. Push down through each foot. Really activate into those hips so you feel that backside of the pelvis has to respond. Because the minute you can feel like you press your feet down, it opens up the inner groin. That puts your weight into your hips, which means your hip muscles have to stretch and move. Move your sacral plate forward. Pick your chest up. Let's twist. Don't panic, but keep that lifted chest. Take your right hand to your left knee. Left fingers do not go on the floor. Your left hand just relaxes on your left thigh and just twist to your left. I'll explain why into this later. This is a later thing. But can you still press both feet actively into the floor and get that same spinal lift? You're not forcing the forward lean, but can you get that same lift as you rotate? Switch sides, so keep your legs, change your hands. Left hand outer right knee, right hand just rests on your right thigh gently. It does not work behind you, does not lay on blocks. There's a reason, that'll come up about 10 minutes or so. Just give yourself a chance to push through the feet, push through the hips, and rotate with that. See what movement changes. And then experiment for a minute. Stop pushing your feet and see how your pelvis stops. See the pressure in your pelvis different. And re-engage your feet. See what difference is in your twist of your upper back. Twist deeply and then let go and see how one side tightens and the other doesn't do anything. Good. Untwist. Interlace your fingers. Take both palms up again. Push your feet down. Sacral plate forward. Lift from the sacral plate. Push the hips down. Twist to your left. Try not to move your head first. Move your torso first. Push your feet into the floor to help twist. So if you're twisting to your left, really push that left foot into the floor to help. Push your right foot into the floor to not make you tilt over. If you just don't push through your left foot, you'd fall over. Push through your right foot to counter that. So you get some movement with the left foot, the right foot stable. No different than doing Warrior One. Well, it's very different, but there's a teaching piece in that. Push through your feet to twist more. Push your arms higher. Twist the other way. Push through those feet. Heart lifted, chest lifted. Right into the upper back. Keep your arms up, twist to the left again. Work that left foot to help the twist. And now lean forward slightly, stretching your abdomen out over your left thigh. But your arms are still picking up. Notice how your head really came forward there, but your chest didn't move. Move from the abdomen. So if your left foot's helping twist, push your right foot into the floor to help you fold forward, because that's going to pin your right hip down. That's going to free your right lower back. Hold your feet, get into this. Your feet affect your upper back. Bring your chest up, twist to the right. Push your right foot into the floor harder, twist to the right. Push your left foot down harder to go easier into the forward fold. Experiment with it. Don't push your feet down at all and try it. Then push your feet down harder and try it. You get that full extension. Take a breath and untwist. Arms down. Switch your legs. Upper back. Left foot under right thigh, right ankle up on left knee. Push your feet down. Did we twist already on this side? No. Twist to your right, taking your left hand to your right knee, your right hand resting on your thigh and twist. Very simple pose, right? Very simple series of movements inside one leg position, but it's exploring everything that you can do inside that leg position, not just big or what I call growth or active movements, intense ones, but the subtle stuff. Work through your feet to help your twist, just as you experimented with the other side. You're twisting to your right, push your right foot down more to help move that core, move that pelvis. Push your left foot down so you don't fall over. Twist to the other side. The strength of your legs really will matter for the mobility of your spine. Cannot emphasize that enough. That's why I think in a lot of the Iyengar work, you start in standing poses. It's another benefit of starting with standing poses in your practice rather than going straight to seated work. Is that if you want to be able to rotate your spine with all the muscle, a lot of the leg muscle goes into your spine. You want to do forward folds better, your leg muscle needs to be awake. You need to be aware, it needs to be stimulated. Interlace your fingers, take both arms up. Change the lacing of your fingers so it's the opposite side. Notice I was not cruel and made you do that on the other side, so you have been in it twice as long. You may post thank you, oh kind and compassionate one on the Yelp review later. Twist to your right, your arms up. Move the sacral plate forward, push through the feet, through the hips, so you get that extension. Twist the other way. Push your right foot, push your left foot to help the left twist. Left leg is the hard leg, especially because it's the lower one right now. Back starting to release. From the sacral plate, up the length of the spine, broadening the upper torso. Twist to your right again. Stretch forward over your right thigh. Push both feet down, especially that left one to help you keep from falling over. Notice your head comes down first. So you still got to tilt your chin up slightly and stretch your head forward so it teaches your upper back to move in to the rib cage, to move into that space that's actually there for it. Up, twist to the left, extend. Chest up. Don't sit upright completely, but lift your chest up from that forward fold. Push your feet down. Bring your body up. Bring your arms down. Stretch both legs straight out in front of you. We'll come back to this in a moment. Just want to give your body a rest for just a second. Give it a little bit of relief. And kind of talk about what I meant when I didn't want you to take a hand behind you in this twist. Bend your right knee under its own strength and put your right foot on the outside of the left thigh. Take your left hand or left arm, wrap it around the right knee. Now notice most of you, when you did that, instinctively took your right hand to the floor behind you, leaned into it, and then wrapped your arm around the knee. You leaned away from the leg, did that, or you used their hand to push yourself into it. Unwrap your arm from the left leg. Push your feet into the floor. Do not use your right hand on the floor behind you. I don't care what you do with it. Hook your thumb inside your hip or just leave it there. Wrap your left arm around the knee and then pull the left knee or your right knee towards your left armpit without your right hand leaning back. Feel the difference in the back muscle that has to work. Feel the difference in your legs and how they have to work. When we lean back and just use that arm to press us, that really manipulates the QL or one part of our spine versus the other. It's not actually teaching those muscles to create that movement on its own in a healthy manner. It's more just manipulation of the joint. So now, pull that left or that right knee in tight towards the left armpit and twist towards your right, but do not take your right hand to the floor. Feels awkward, doesn't it? For years, I just had this realization this morning. For years, I've been taking my right hand back behind me and using it to tilt on the floor. And then when I took it off and I tried to do the pose with that, I felt much greater work in my hip and back, because instead of leaning my weight into that joint and making my chest collapse, now my chest has to stay deeper into it. My back has to widen more. But there is a thing you can do with it. So let me offer. But keep your left arm around the right knee. Take your right hand, place it on your right thigh, on top of the quad near the knee, and push your hand into the knee to twist. That'll help push your foot down a little bit. Then it'll drag your right ribs out to the side more instead of you collapsing back and then twisting it. Keep the left arm there, push the right hand into the right thigh, and rotate. This also makes your back muscles work harder to sit upright. One of the forms of this pose, and actually the forms of all the twists, is the right arm in this form of it. You reach behind and try to grab your left or your right calf. But if your hand's on the floor holding you the whole time, you can't, because the minute you do it, you don't have the leg or back or pelvis openness to sit up, rotate, and grab. This challenges that and teaches us out of that. Well, in the beginning, it's good to do that, but we need to practice other muscular stuff. This is fresh off the presses ideas too. So, all right, untwist. Stretch your right leg straight, bend your left knee, put your left foot to the outside of the right thigh. All right, so from here, wrap the right arm around. Notice the desire to already take your left hand back onto the floor. I saw that, Glenda, you caught it too. That desire is there to lean back into this, but when we lean into it, we instantly collapse. If you watch Tristan for a second, take your hand onto the floor. Twist back and now wrap your arm around. She leans into it and her whole chest comes down on this side. It collapses into these bottom ribs. That puts pressure on one or two vertebrae of the spine. But when you take the arm out of it and you just have this hand press onto your thigh or whatever and have it twist, your back muscles, your hip muscles get much more open, because now when you push this hand into the thigh bone, you get way more rotation. And it's similar reasons why we take the arm up a lot of times. Some people have you take that left arm up into the air to help. Like those are popular. We've done that in this class sometimes where we challenge that arm out. But just even the act of taking the hand back to the floor when we don't need it consistently encourages not bad, but just not a habit that ultimately leads us to the next step. Remember, Mr. Angar said, ultimately we remove those habits because they're not what we want to do. Like I said earlier, everything we've ever gone through has encouraged us to do something. I've had a bad back injury. I had a bad back injury, which led me to yoga because I couldn't even sit upright. So I would have to have my hand on the floor forever to twist. But that's a habit that was from Dustin 17 years ago. I'm not the same as Dustin 17 years ago. Exploration of new things gives us a chance to shape where we are so we can go where we want. So again, even though you may not have a story to tell verbally, what's the story you tell yourself about your back, your body? What's the fear? What's the thing like that, right? That's what I meant from the earlier Dharma discourse. How does that story that you don't tell people show up in your life anyway? How does it get shared with the world? And how you hold yourself, what you do with yourself, etc. Yoga is your exploring of that. Untwist. All right. Right foot under left thigh. Left foot up on right knee. Half lotus. Remember, you go through this in stages from here. We're going back to full lotus, full Padmasana. Don't jump to it. Please work with me here. So our legs are in opposite positions. So if this is as far as you can go, this is good to work with. You'll just do the upper body stuff we do when we get to that point. Push your foot into your hand. So grab your right hand grabs left foot, push your foot into your hand, and then pull the leg closer to your hip. Even if it's a little bit down the thigh and your hips are screaming, your knees are tight, that's where you look good. Slide your right foot forward past your left knee. And then hold. And then push your feet into the floor. If your left knee does not touch the floor, you don't go any further. There's no reason to push to try and drop the weight of your right foot on a floating knee. That will blow a knee out. And not the knee that you put it on either. It'll blow out the foot of the knee of the foot you put it up on top. Trust me, I know. I've been there. Point the feet. The more you point your feet, the more active in the rotation of the shin you're going to get. If your left knee is on the floor, you may take your right foot and put it up on your left thigh. If it is not, do not put it up there. Just work the pose where you are. Push your feet into their contact, the surface they're contacting. Regardless of what position you're in, whether it's just the ankle on the thigh and the other foot still underneath, whatever part, from part 1 to part 5 breath, push your feet down. Interlace your fingers, turn your palms out, stretch both arms up, and move from your sacral plate up the length of your spine forward as you lift your side ribs up and back. So you're deep in your shoulder blades. It's going to feel like the bottom of the shoulder blade is cutting deep into your back towards your front bottom ribs. Move the heart out, palms up, head forward, stretch the side body. Get that deep chicken neck. Not up and down, front to back. Take a nice deep breath. Work through the pose. Hips press down, feet press down. Center sacral plate up the length of your spine, forward and up, especially right up here. Side body. You've been doing all the prep work for this. Trust me, I've been working you all for weeks. Right up through those, right up through the lats, right up through the arms. Squeeze the arm towards the head. Right at the bottom edge of the shoulder blade, cuts into your back. Doing great. Exhale, bring your arms down. Take your top leg off your body. Stretch legs out. Woo! Left foot under, left foot under right thigh. Right ankle up on left knee. And this may just be your stop point. So this is part 1. If going past this is painful for you, do not worry. This is a good place to work at. This will safely get you there. And you just practice the principles of it and then the arm stuff. Push your feet down first, kind of see where things are. All right, I feel like I can go deeper. So then if you think you can go deeper, left hand grabs right foot, point the feet, push the foot against the hand, pull the knee close, pull the foot closer towards the hip. Keep both feet pointed, push both feet down. Good placement of the foot, Shubha. Better, Pratama, you're getting better about it. Nice, Glenda, that hip's opening. Sanjay, good, nice, Lena. Slide your left foot forward past the right knee. Point both feet. And here, just push your feet down. And you can, as you practice it at home, take time to sit in each position long enough for those different rotations and muscle movements to go, because you're trying to find where the catch is, where the muscle set or the alignment that's not quite there, that doesn't give total freedom of movement. Pushing to the final pose, if your step 3 or your third position, like we're in, is bad, this means that 3, 4, and 5 are bad, are not correct. You could sit in 3 for hours and have a very masterful understanding of how your hips move in this pose. And even after I could do full lotus, I still went back and did these over and over because, you know, I would like to understand why. If your right knee is touching the floor and laying comfortably, not if you push it down, it kind of grazes the carpet, but if it's touching the carpet comfortably, then you may reach down, grab your foot, pull it up onto the other thigh. Tristan is not going to do that. Push your feet down into your own thighs. Notice which one doesn't want to. Point both feet as you do this. And regardless of position, 1 through 5, interlace your fingers. Change it to the opposite, because I didn't ask you to do that on the other side. Palms out. Start to lift. And as you start to lift, move, press down through the feet, move the sacral plate forward, move the back forward, and then lift through the side body. Move those arms up. Stretch the head forward to engage the full upper thoracic neck. Lift through the ribs. Let the bottom shoulder blades edge into the back. And then work and breathe. That's more than that. This is what it is, not this. 3, 2, exhale, arms down. Very nice. Slide your legs out. Lay on your back. Have Savasana for a moment. Remember, give yourself the best Savasana experience you can. So you don't know how long you're going to get, but if it takes you 2 minutes to set up and you get a minute of awesome Savasana, get awesome Savasana. Don't take 3 minutes of meh Savasana. Savasana meh. Let your eyes close, my friends. Tongue away from the roof of the mouth. Relax the jaws. The teeth do not touch. Slow breath in, slow breath out. As you just take a couple minutes here for yourself, feeling yourself maybe a little differently, physically, mentally, emotionally, mentally clear, maybe emotionally a little more positive or negative, or you're having some feelings about yourself or what's going on with you, check in with them. The sharpness, the clarity, the stimulation that comes in yoga is not just the muscle, but also the mood and all parts of ourselves. It's how the stories of our lives show up. They show up on our bodies. They show up in our actions. They show up in our words. To understand how to relieve ourselves from the things we suffer from, we have to in some way relive those moments. Not inflicting old pain on ourselves again, but understanding that we have hurt. Not seeking old joys again because they are past, but knowing that we have been happy. And not being critical of ourselves because we've done things that may have been seen as foolish or dumb. But know that wisdom comes with experience and age and process. And that we live in a world caring enough that we've been able to make mistakes and still be here and love and live and learn. And rest for the next few moments and enjoy the fruits of your yogic practice. Take a nice deep breath in. On an exhale, draw the knees to the body, roll to your right side. Press your palms into the floor and slowly up you come. Namaste. Thank you all so much. Have a good weekend.